It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at techtrader.com. It's Sunday, actually it's Sunday morning, the 10th of November. This is the weekend webinar. What a great week we had. But is it coming to an end? Is this a post-election rally that maybe is in a blow-off stage? It sure looks like it could be. Well, when you look at the 1 year from the low in November of 23 to November of 24, we've gone from 4,100 to almost 6,000, nearly 50% in a year, which is almost unheard of. The S&P, I don't think, has ever done that in history, seriously, but I may be wrong, at least in the last couple decades. Anyway, we're at the, if you take a look at the longer term pattern, we're nowhere near the top of the potential channel in the 7,700 range, but I don't think we get there. I think what happens is the intermediate channel, which saw us go 50% in a year, is coming to the top of the intermediate channel connecting these tops here. So we could get a little spike up, blow off into the next level, which is around 6,000, give or take 40, 50 points. Actually, my projection is going to be 6,090, 95, something like that. And that's just a guess, of course, but it is a projection based on angles and things of that nature. You can see where support is. The gap up, 58.65, right there. Beneath that, the moving averages, which are crossing over upside, around 5,800, 58, excuse me, it's a little higher than, yeah, 58.25 roughly. So let's just say that 58.65 and 25 are going to be the immediate short-term support levels. Let's go look at the NASDAQ 100. That too blew out and made a new all-time high. Above that, in this whole congestion zone, this is a really important technical breakout. Not only that, but if you draw the line properly, from this low through that low, and these highs, you can see a rising wedge that exploded to the upside. Usually that means they're going to extend. We could see 22,000, folks. I would not be shocked in a short-term basis. And to confirm that, with all of that going on, the market just on the small cap stocks went across some key resistance. Now, it looks to me like going way back here, the all-time high in the IWM was back in 21. At that point, it reached 244 and change, 44 and a half almost. We're at 238. A run up to 244 wouldn't shock me. I do project that there might be some resistance around 240, 40 and a half. The high for the week was 238.49, so I'm expecting some extension, but we'll see. The two-day lows for Thursday and Friday were both at 235, 35, 40, 60. So I would look for 235 to see if that holds. And certainly always concerned about a gap, because gap to me is support. Either they fill it halfway, or hold and go. In this case, coming out of a multi-month consolidation pattern across multiple tops, and I mean multiple. Let's go back in here. 2 there, a couple 3 there. This is an important breakout. Not only that, but it went through that high, and now the only thing left is the all-time high, and that date was 244.46 on November the 8th. So it's almost exactly 3 years. Today's the 10th. Or should I say Friday was the 9th. So it was almost exactly 2 years to the day that we are approaching the all-time high. In terms of wave structure, it appears it might be a 1, 2, 3, 4 in the fifth wave starting. That's my conjecture. I mean, my projection. I don't know how far they can take this, but a blowout through 245 could go vertical into the 250s. We'll just have to see what the market wants to do, whether this thing turns on a dime or whether they get a follow-through, spike up, blow off, and squeeze the shorts and then turn it down. Even with the transportation index is also confirming. This is technically very, very good for the market. Take a look at this. We have highs in here, there, and there. So in essence, 2.5, nearly 3-year resistance taken out on the Dow Jones Transportation Index with a spike up on Wednesday. This could very well extend into the 18.4 range. It's 17.3 now. So if we get any kind of market blow up, look for that. And I would also say distinctly that if the market does spike up into that range, we see the IWM, the transportation, the S&P, the NDX all running and blowing off, it's time to exit stage left, in my opinion. Look, the problem with the market is it always goes further than you think it's going to go. I would strongly encourage no one to go short until the market shows a reversal, a distinct reversal. There'll be plenty of time to go short. You know, even for example here, back in here, if the market was in an uptrend, blew off and turned down and then broke some support, say across there, and then rallied back and formed the bear flag, that would be the place to short it. And then look at the drop after that. So every time the market does a peak like that, you have plenty of time to short it. Let's go back in here. See that blow off? That was back in 21. That blow off is important because when you get that kind of a spike, look what follows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways down. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get 5 ways down from here, but if we do, it could be, it's down substantially. So bottom line is just watch for it. The small caps are running like crazy. One more time, the IWM had a fantastic week. And we may be going into one of these run-ups, which could take it substantially higher. So next week could be a good trading week for the small to medium cap stocks. And we'll just have to see what the market wants to do, of course. Trade what you see, now what you think, folks. Okay, so what are the underlying technicals looking like? Believe it or not, the McClellan oscillator is nowhere near overbought. No, it's plus 39.76. Overbought is at least 125 to 150, maybe as much as 200. Same with oversold. Oversold is minus 150 to 200, maybe 250. Something of that nature, 220. So right now, the market is poised for a blow-off and a spike up in the McClellan oscillator to get us up to the 150 to 200 range, where I'd say then it's time to, if not shorting, raising cash. Okay, so that's the McClellan. Now, what about the percentage of stocks that are making new highs here? Well, you're not going to believe this. It's only 57%. It's only a little bit more than half the stocks are participating, basically. And so that's what I would call negative divergence, or at least a weaker underpinning. The market is getting long in the tooth, and as a result, a lot of stocks not only are not above their 40, but they're actually pulling back down. I added some boxes shorts this week. I'll show you a few of them, but I have more work to do on that side. The VIX is also telltale to me. When it was just when it looked like it was going to break through and spike up, it broke down right to in a support area around 14.5, 15. The lowest we've seen on the VIX and since this big spike out in early August was 1446. The low on Friday, 1466. I mean, it's right there. That mean, and you really can't chart an index. You can just look at overbought, oversold. Right now, it's getting at a point where each time we've gotten in this range in the last 3 months, we pull down. Doesn't mean this can't drop into the 10 or 11 range. If you look at it historically, let's go way back. You'll see we got down into the 07, which is the end of 06 actually, December 22nd, 06, 860. And that in 2017, 856. So there's a double bottom around 850.60. And the recent low, which is the lowest we saw in 4 or 5 years, was 1062. So I can see it getting down to 8, 9, 10, 11 before this thing becomes damaging to the market per se. But no doubt you can see where it is. So I would stay away from the UVIX until this thing turns around. So those are some of the underlying technical indicators that we follow. And let's take a look at the market general, the NASDAQ generals that are basically these 7, 8 stocks that I'm showing you. They make up like 30, believe it or not, 30% of the S&P 500 because of their market cap and weight. Apple, long-term, impeccable. Take a look at this. Don't you wish you had Apple in 03? This is split adjusted, of course, but it's a quarter. Now, I know that stock split a couple times since then. But a pretty impressive long-term chart pattern. When you say, look at this channel. It's always good to kick back and look at long-term perspective. That comes in. And we haven't gotten close to breaking the trend line. But that comes in way down here. There are 3 things to consider on Apple. Should Apple have a dramatic drop at some point. Put this in the back of your mind. The 199 area, you break that, you have a big problem with the market. Apple's probably going to take the market down with it. Right now, and this is a weekly, let's look at the daily. Right now, Apple's not really keeping pace with the rest of them. Because if you look at it, since the low it had on a spike in August, it did run up and form a platform, but it didn't really break out yet. What you want to watch for Apple, if we're going to get a blow off, is for that to take out 237.5. There's a double triple top there. Then I would project 250. That would be if the market blows off. There's also a double triple bottom area here that on a short-term basis on Apple to keep in mind as well. It comes in about 220.21. Okay, we're at 227-ish now. So, there's two support levels, 220.21, and this is another big one, 214.5, 214. So 220.21, 214 are numbers to keep in mind for Apple, and on the upside above 237, it's go time. So I'm spending some more time with these this week because I think it's really important to know where the market generals are. Amazon, blow-off city. Now look at this. Now this is just since 23. And I believe it's split in there too. 83 to 211. Nearly a triple just in the last 2 years. In my mind, it's a 1-2 and it's a 3-4. This is possibly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so a fifth of a fifth. But the fifth wave can last. And it wouldn't shock me if this goes to 235.40 zone. Google. Beautiful inverse head and shoulders right here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, breakaway gap, pop, pull back and retest and breakout point, gap up and run. So what to watch for next week is Google resistance at 183 3/4. Then you're looking at 190 and the 193 area where the all-time high is. Should we get to 193, it's blow-off time. And this thing can run. I don't know if Google's going to make a move all the way up to 220, or even 225, where the top of the channel projects to. But at least the measure move should get us, I think, to retest the high, and then we'll go from there. Nevertheless, a nice chart. Look at that. Look at this chart. Can't complain. Pretty symmetrical chart. I like it. Mr. Softy, otherwise known as Microsoft. I got to tell you, I don't think Microsoft is as strong as the others, but because it's been hesitating every time it gets to 442.3. And there's also a level underneath that there that we're up against right now. But the good part, if there is one, is that we had a gap down that didn't follow through. It held above support here. Or right at it. And then bounced. Now the problem with this is it's at secondary resistance, but it's not, and near the highs where some of the others are, or through them. So it's a bit of a trailer. I did like the action Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday was a little pullback, but notice where it is. There's resistance at 427. There's also a gap to fill up to 432. And then there's the 440, let's call it 442 resistance in there. Should Microsoft get up through this level? That would be a big boost to the market, in my opinion. And then we'd be looking at 472, the all-time high. But stay tuned. We'll find out. Support right now is key, and that's around 4056. Secondary, massive major support is closer to 387. Let's look at Microsoft. What about NVDA? The monster in the midway. Now this is what's leading this generational move. Look at this move. The low split adjusted was 1081 October 13th of 22, so 2 years ago. It's gone from 10 to 150, a 15-fold move. Well, quite didn't reach 150, 149.95, close enough. But that 149.95, yep, that's a new all-time high. Looking at the long term, a massive 1-2, and then it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth wave coming up here for fifth of a third. I've actually got a phone call into my buddy Avi to get some clarity on what the wave count is. So mid channel line 175.80, upper channel line 225.30. We'll see if NVIDIA's got that kind of gumption. It was trailing for a while, but when you can't complain when a stock makes a new all-time high. Let's go to Netflix. Another new all-time high here, $800 exactly. 800, a new all-time high. Pretty amazing stuff. You know, and I think Netflix is one of the more sneaky generals, because look at this plunge it had in 22, all the way down to 145, and now it's 800. That's fivefold, folks, more than that in 2.5 years, 400%. I'm sure most institutions and individuals will take that. Right now, from this low, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't tell for sure. It's a little choppy, but coming out of this flag to the top of the channel is, I find it very interesting. Let's clear up a little bit here. Okay, so we're at the channel top. The only thing I would say that is the market gets into a blow-up stage, just might run to 850, 875. Who knows where they can take this stock, but it's pretty powerful, but it's overbought, and it's at the channel top. Meta's had its tough days, but boy, has it come on. Take a look. Now, the last month, it's been consolidating after making a new high at 602.95. Here it hit 601.20, and here 610. So over to 602 range, definitive triple top. This week we got to 594, closing 588 and change. Where does it project to? Well, based on this angle, it's somewhere around 650. 650. So if the market goes in a blow-up stage, stocks like Apple and Meta, NVDA, you know, all of these stocks, Google, Microsoft, we're all going to run, and it's going to be monster time. But we can't say that for sure until we actually get the move. What I would watch for is 557.8. Don't let it get below that. That I think is, yeah, 555, 557 would be a good place to put a stop in. That's where a stock could collapse. And what's the monster of the midway? Strongest stock for sure in the last 2-3 weeks. Look at Tesla go. Just when it looked like it broke down, had a bear flag right there. It just gap down, gap up. This is an island, not an island reversal. It's called an island base because it's gapped down into that little mini base and gapped up. It's a big difference. To me, the perfect island reversal is a one-day gap up, next day gap down, leaving an island. This is not what that is. But technicians do call it an island formation, simply because it's detached from the rest of the pattern. Okay, so then after this pop-up, a strong 2 days, Tesla came down for a week. Actually, 6 days in a row. Tested the VWAP right there, and then ripped. How about this move? 238, 328. That's 90 points vertically. Look at the volume on Friday, one of the biggest I've ever seen. When Tesla, trading at 300 and change, trades 210 million. That's a huge amount of money exchanged. The only day I can see here where I think it traded more volume was 243 million there, 220 million there. That was a down day, but the biggest up day was in April of this year when the stock gapped up and ran. So look, again, the top of this channel that I've drawn in, parallel channel, says that we can extend to about 350, 345 area. Just be careful the next couple of days. If the market does blow off, I'm going to be looking for a period of reverse. And also November 15th, I believe, which is obviously coming up this week, is a important potential reversal day if you read Merriman Marketplace, American Market Analyst. If you read Merriman's that I posted on the site, you'll see that he mentions mid-November astrological date in for potential reversal. Okay, so there you have it, the NASDAQ 100 generals. Let's go to, we have a lot of stocks to discuss today, but I did cut back about 30 or 40 of them that look good. I just want you to know there's obviously in a market like this, there's tons of stocks running. But to me, this is the top 1% of all stocks. Okay? AAOI, which I've been featuring day after day, week after week. Once it broke out here, it was a swing. It's gone from 11-12 zone. How about that day on Friday? Only went from 18 to 28 in one day on a mere 19.8 million shares, That's the biggest day I've ever seen going back to here when it traded 77 million shares on a blowout breakout. They probably had an earnings thing. But just take a look at the pattern. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me, and it's near a high. But excuse me. Let's go back here. I'm going to spend a lot more time today because I think it's important. So be prepared. Have your coffee in front of you, and so you can see, to me, there was resistance across this zone here, and then across here. We're coming through this area, which is basically, if you look at it this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth wave could blow off. And I'm not saying it's going 27 to 50, but that's my target. There could be something in between, and that's more likely to me. So I'm looking for mid 30s. If AAOI doesn't come straight down, if it comes sideways and consolidates for 2-3 days like it did here, and consolidates like it did there, you might have a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave that either consolidates and extends, or blows off immediately. And look, anytime you go from the low of the day was 18 and the high was just under at 28. So, you're going to get some sort of, and you close that high at 27.50, you're likely to get a follow through. Be careful though. Be very careful. ADMA, beautiful junior biotech. Look at this channel. Look at that trend. How about 3 to 23? Where's the target? 30. AEM in the gold sector. Beautiful chart, a nice coiling base pattern. There's your breakout. There's your channel up. Is it done yet? No signs of that. What's the target at the top of the channel? Mid-90s. AEYE. Well, I charted this stock for a year here. It just did phenomenal. Look at that. Breakout of the base, flag, pennant, or falling wedge, pop, then a large one that morphed into a large 6-month coiling base pattern. Look at the breakout Friday. First, a move down, then a reversal. That's called an engulfing breakout bar. 38 is my target, followed by 43. ALHC, this is Alignment Healthcare. Breakout, rising channel. Looks like a long 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth waves underway, could get up to 15, 16. AMLX, I love rounding bottoms on stocks. I don't know what this was. It was probably a biotech, poor results. The stock went from 19 to 270. That's not good in one day. And eventually, within the next few months, traded down to 158. But from the June low, 158, it's now, it got 727 high on Friday. I had drawn this rising flag in it, and it's blowing through the top of it. Let's just say that if that's your angle, you may be short-term overbought. There is a mid-channel line that I have as a target. It comes in about 8.5. That would be my follow-through target. Keep an eye on AMLX. How about AMSC, American Superconductor? Breaks out of a base, spikes up, gets near resistance, and then comes down hard. Then runs up and does this and creates a new rising channel and blows out to resistance and pulls back, forms a wedge to the channel. And you can see where it's at. Now, I'm not saying it's going to explode into that area, but this could be a stock that goes up 10 or 15 points in the next week or two. It depends on what it does right here, whether it stalls and pulls back or follows through to get up to a higher level, but looking good. APLT breaks out of a base, consolidates, pops, and you can see the stair-step move on it. I think the lines are drawn wrong. I'm going to draw it this way. That looks like my angle of ascent. What I like about the recent action is this breakaway move above the moving averages, a flag, and now look at Friday. Over 10 and a close over 10. Puts that at the highest levels in 3 years. 3-year highs. So where can I go to? Well, this area of resistance likely to be a target. So yours truly looking for, I'll call it 14. Keep an eye on APLT. ASPI. Well, I was following it here, and the angle showed that that was a channel. It broke down. It got down there, support level, which is right there. Held it for a week or two, and then ran up. Look at this move. The spike low in early August, 186. The high recently, 930. Currently 880 after pulling back. The pullback held above the gap. With this run up to resistance, if it gets through, this is a $12, $13 stock. Great momentum. Just keep in mind where you want to stop, and that would be under 640.50. Atamera. But we were fortunate enough to see this break of the downtrend with a spike up and then a beautiful coil. When it broke out, it gave you a swing. This has gone from 3.5 to 6. Nope, not quite, 588. My extension target would say 7, but my mind says this is a long move. It's gone from 325 to 588 in a couple weeks. So they could have a wave 4 consolidation and then run up to 7 or 8. Don't forget, this is a big winner for us back here when it went from literally from $2, $3 into the 40s. I think it was 40. 43, 47. Wow. And they dropped it from 47 back to 263, returned to sender. And now the long-term channel is being tested. That's another reason why I should or could pull back here. So I'll give you the what if. Possible extensions to 6.5, 7. If it gets up there, I would definitely sell it because it's due for a pullback. Nevertheless, nice momentum. AVPT, I've been following this for a year after breaking the base in a rising channel. Look what it did last week. 1220 on Friday blows off to 1564. That day was up 137 or 10%. Mine picked up to 2.9 million. This is a thin stock, but take a look. Where can I go now? Well, one would think maybe we can test 17.75, 18. That would be my blow-off level. Again, a lot depends on the market. If the market goes into blow-off stage, a lot of these stocks will run. But if they all run at the same time, it's time to sell. AVXL, long downtrend. Spiked up in June, July, and then formed a long coil. Here's your breakout. Stalled, inside day, pop, 2-day stall, flag, and then look at Friday. 176 or 23%, trading 3 million shares, which is a lot for that stock. There is a lot of resistance up here, but 10.5-ish is the near-term target. Folks, I do believe, even though I don't like it, I'm not a Bitcoin fan. I'm not a cryptocurrency fan, but I got to look at the chart and tell you what I think. The double Bitcoin strategy ETF VIX-X, which ran in March all the way up to 60, and then came down with Bitcoin and reached under 19, losing 2/3 of its value in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline. Then did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move up with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a fifth of a fifth, but should we break through this triple top? I'm pretty confident, and I think that Bitcoin is on the verge, just my opinion. It's a gut feel. Could be on the verge of a big move to cross out to get over 100,000. I don't know. The projections are 95 to 100 and 120, 25 or something like that. At least that's what I hear from a lot of technical analysts who follow Bitcoin and crypto. This is what it looks like, and we're in a new uptrend. Look at the volume in the last week on this. So keep an eye on this one. It could be a good swing, believe it or not, into the high 40s for 10 points. BLND, a beautiful little low price stock. Look at this long-term downtrend. 18, you're going to love this. 18 to 74 cents. And a year and a half later, it's 483. A six-fold increase or so. It did it in 1, 2, 3, 4, and this could be a 1, 2, 3, and I think we got 4 and 5 to come. So BLND still has projections for me up towards $8. Dutch Brothers, nice base, or a little choppy, but nice base. Look at the breakaway gap it had this week. Strong report. What I like about it is after a spike up like that, it pulled back right to the prior high. For 2 days, it's held it. So if you trade in this stock, you stop under 43. If it goes over 50, it could be mid-50s or more. BYRN, this is a tech trader swing. This comes from one of my biggest institutional clients who gave you Root and so many other big winners. What's that stock that was up 150 this week? That was another one. Anyway, BYRN, I've been following this company for a while because they make something I really like, and that's a non-lethal weapon. So it broke out We put a swing on it. It ran up to the target and then pulled back. It formed a wedge and it broke back out. Quite frankly, folks, do I hate that expression? Quite frankly. But my ex-partner used to use that all the time. So things get ingrained in your mind, folks, when you're around people who use certain expressions. That's my theory. All right, so I'm looking for a retest of 19. Then I moved to 24. That's my targets for burn. You got to stop under 13. Simple as that. And I really don't want under 14. Okay, CAPR, as many of us are interested in this. I know a lot of people that know this company. They say it's potentially a monster stock in the 50 to 100 range. This breakaway gap here, first with a surge on 30 million, and then 42 million. So 75 million shares traded in 2 days as it breaks out. And then it keeps going. So it reached a short-term overbought position and pulled back for 2 days, filled that little gap, and then spiked. This is the big one. 987 to 1565 on 15.3 million, telling me the momentum is phenomenal in this stock. My target was in the low 20s. We reached 2340. We have now performed a 5-6 week bull coil. I really prefer this doesn't get under 17.5. If I'm owning it, I'm stopping it there. Secondary support is 15 1/3. Price moving average support, and this is huge. The 50-day moving average is around 1381. I'm not only giving that as support levels. I believe the stock eventually gets to 2340 and rips 30, 40 potential targets, and let's leave it at that. Kava, unbelievable. Mini base breakout. I noticed it there. I didn't do a thing about it. It went from 40 to 150. Amazing move. How much more does it have? I don't know, but look at the breakout of the ascending bull rising flag. It's possible the stock sees 200. CCL, well, cruise lines are doing great, especially with the price of oil coming down. This one from the August low went from 13.75 to 24.40. What's my target? 27. Take a look at this, folks. This is breaking out of a massive base pattern. First, an inverse head and shoulders, then a run-up, pull-back coil, and a breakout. Yeah, I'm actually looking for 30 on this, 30, 31. CDXC breaks out of a base. Explodes to the target, pulls back in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline right to the breakout point, and starts a new uptrend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. Yeah, it's a little short-term extended, of course, because it blew last week from 3.5 to 7, so it doubled. May need to set up a little consolidation in that zone before it goes further, but my eventual target, 11. CLF. Well, I got excited when I saw this reversal. This is an island reversal, folks. Let me show it to you one more time. Take that out, you'll see it. Gap down, gap up, leave an island. Run to resistance and back off right to support. I can't let this go any further down, because if this pattern is going to work, it's going to probably consolidate in here, break through the double top at 1435 area, and then run to 16.5, 18.25, 20. Those are a potential long-term target. But until then, it's iffy. CLS, Celestica, electronic components. I mean, here's a beauty, folks. I know it's a long time ago, but 4.5 years ago, it was 263 at the March 18th bottom in 2020. But from under 3, it's gone to 86. Now, the more important move came here after breaking out above resistance. Flag, and you can see the way the stock is active. After wedging in here, it broke out again and broke through a double top. Right now it's running. My target's about 100. Core, I've been on top of this one for a long time. I like the double top breakout here recently above 78. It's now 110. My target is 128. CONL, this is a tech trader swing long. I just like the crypto stocks. I think that rather than buy Coinbase at a much higher price, you could buy the double ETF bull, CONL. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It's a sloppy one, but that's what it is to me. The two things I want to point out now. Connecting these tops across here, you will see what's right at that line. See it? If this gets through, it's most definitely going to the mid to high 60s. My target is 65 next. It's 15, 16 points. Now, it may need to come down and consolidate and test the 38.9 zone. That would be a great entry op if it gets there. CORZ, it's a software stock. Phenomenal move. Breaks out of a base, rips, coils, pops, does another one, and then stair steps its way up. And basically, this has gone from 2.5, 3/4 to 17. It's in that kind of a mode where it could continue to run. The angle of ascent shows that 2022 area would be your near-term target. CPRX in the biotech sector had a big move here. Took it all the way from like 2 3/4 up there with the low 20s. It then did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, broke out, tested resistance across here a couple times, and then finally broke out in August. In August, from the low of 15 and change, it's gone to 24. The pop, coil, the breakout, and particularly the breakout here above everything, has this one leaning towards a continued run that takes this into the 30s and low 40s, maybe. But let's just look to see if we can get a follow through to, say, high 20s on this one. Credo. Long-term chart is impeccable, and look at the near-term run. After holding support at that line, plunging to it in early September, making a low of 24.25, it's more than doubled to 49. And it's done it in massive move that I think could extend, but we don't know how far, and it's a bit short-term overbought. How about little Corvus? This biotech had a beautiful base. Breakout came here at about 285. It then ran up to 4 and change, consolidated, and formed a little platform right there. Broke out, formed a falling wedge. That would be right here. And then popped out and ran again. Now it's forming a flag. It's my extension target. Short term, 12.5. Delcath, beautiful rising channel for a year. From November low at 225, this has gone up to 1288. 5-fold increase. Almost 6-fold. But I also want to point out that there's some resistance right up in here that goes back 3 years. And should it get through that, I can see the stock in the high teens. This one is interesting. DELL. I think Dell and Oracle, those two larger cap stocks, along with NVDA, are not generational moves, but they're the kind of stocks that are really going to benefit from the AI revolution. I think this is a gift. As you know, I put this out as this trade right here in September. I think it was 69. Yeah, at 69 or so. And 6 months later, it was 179, 110 points. Now, when the tech stocks got hit in July and August, this stock did a 1, 2, 3 corrective type of move, but this is really nasty. They took Dell from 150 to 86, nearly in half in just 6 weeks. But it V-bottomed, it platformed. That's what I like to see. And then stair-stepped its way higher. And this week made another new 4-month high when it reached 139.60. I believe we're going back to 150 or better. And then longer term, much more. In the aerospace group, Leonardo DRS or DRS symbol. What a nice looking channel. And then it's now accelerated through it. Retested it. And then exploded on Friday, going from 34 to 38, finishing 37 up 157. This is not a heavily traded stock, but it's an all-time high, and it could very well go into blow-off mode too. So careful on anything like this. People always ask me, what do you do with a stock like that? My answer is this. Take a look at where the recent lows were, intraday lows. There's one here at 33 3/4. Friday's low, 34. Doesn't it make sense that if it suddenly reverses below that, that's where your stop is? If it extends, let it run. 40, 43, who knows where. ERJ, this is another tech trader swing. I believe I gave this to you when it broke out here in March, but I'm going to have to check. It may have been later. In any case, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. It's hard to say the waves on this one because there may be multiple waves within the waves. Nevertheless, 2 years ago, the stock was trading at 8. Right now, it's 38. Long-term resistance on my target right now, 42. EWTX in the biotech sector, major breakaway gap. And when I saw this here, right there, I said, this stock could really go. Check this out. So it went from 26 to 30, almost 38. My target is 42-ish. And that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. So maybe 44, 45. EXEL, look at that move last week and the week before too. Now, look, when you see the pop with volume like that and then a beautiful flag on low volume, expect to see a breakout. The damn thing went from 27.86 to 36, almost, say 9 points with a breakaway gap and a rising flag. Wow, that's powerful. Not only that, but look at the long-term chart. You've been basing since 2018. That's what? 6 years? A 6-7 year base. And that can support a big move. And my next major target on this one is 50. So EXEL could go into a runoff mode. I would love to see a pullback entry out. Flex, this is a tech trader swing as well. I'm not sure when I gave it to you, but I realized it broke out here and had a perfect little wedge. Then it ran up again and held support twice in this range. Broke out recently. That could have been when I gave it to you back in September. And then went from 34 to 41.5. It is at the top of the channel, long term. Changing the angle. Well, there you go. So it's at the long-term channel top. This is a 3-year channel with multiple waves up. So is this in blow-off mode? Yeah. Can it go further? Yeah. And I'm worried about a lot of stocks doing this and coming to a head, so to speak, for the market. So I think the next week is going to be critical market timing-wise, and it could result in a 2, 3, 4 week pullback and then maybe a year-end rally. It's hard to say. This is all theoretical. Just trade what you see, not what you think. Moving on. FTI. Now, oil and gas equipment and services, you would think that with oil coming down, maybe not, but trade what you see, not what you think, right? Base breakout, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the consolidation. It looks like it's breaking out again. Should this get above 30, my target's going to be 35. FTK, a nice little left shoulder, head, right shoulder, inverse head and shoulder type base pattern with a breakout of the neckline. Where's your target? It has to be 9. Then 11. GEO, extreme explosive move based on the fact that Trump got elected and favors privatization of prison management. This is what the company does. CXW is a similar company. And if you look at that chart, you'll see the breakaway move that had. And that's why. These two stocks, a little bit short-term overbought, but maybe if we get a consolidation here, this could be the beginning of a much bigger move. Let's take a look at where this was, GEO, in terms of potential overhead resistance. I would say this area is going to be a tough one. And it's just ahead at 28. We're at 25.50, so maybe we get a short-term blow up to that level. Be careful, though, on something like that. GRRR. Now, after a long downtrend, and this is probably a reverse split stock, it is. This is your long-term declining channel. It broke out and coiled, and when it broke out here, I gave a swing on it because this is broken the declining top sign and is in a mode where it could or should rally. You got right to resistance from these lows in here in April, May, and backed off. But it's forming a nice flag, see it? My next move is up to 6.5 and then 9. This is something they keep an eye on. It could really run if it goes. GVA in the construction group. What a beautiful chart this is. Multiple year base, breakout, retest, and then rising channel. This too went into a blow-off mode through the channel top, usually meaning the stocks are accelerating to tops. HROW is something I've been on top of after it popped and formed the flag in here back in May. I gave you a swing on it in the 15 range. It's made it into the 60s, believe it or not. This is a 59 and change, right? So this is nearly fourfold. And after pulling back and testing the channel, it's running right back up again. If it continues, I'm not saying this is going to 90, but that 85-90 zone is a possibility if it takes out 59 with volume. So something to keep on your radar. AMAT. Now look at this aerospace stock. 42 to 114, nearly tripled. Multiple waves up too. The recent spike in 2-day consolidation told me we could reach 121. IBRX exploded and pull back. I have a swing on this one as long as it doesn't get down below 470, 75. Love to see it over 5 3/4. And then I'm looking for 6 3/4, 7.5, and then Katie barred the door. INOD, what a monster move on Friday. How about up 1845 or 75% on 10 million shares? That is another stock that went into blow-off mode. This is a tech trader swing. I have 2 institutions, clients of mine that both love the stock story. There's your breakaway gap. There's a nice sharp leg run up. Now check this out, folks. It went from 5.5 to 21.5, 16 points. Add that onto here, 13 and 16, 29. Blew through that, got up to 29 there, and then another 16 points, almost. Look at the long-term chart. Yeah, the way I've drawn it may be wrong, but it sure looks like a parallel channel. Technically, what you're supposed to do is connect the tops, which is right there. If that's the case, then this is in blow-off mode. Indeed. In a 1, 2, 3. So this may need to set up for some more upside. Insignia and Seago, excuse me. Broke out of a base, ran up, pulled back, popped, and did a 1, 2, 3. This is wave 4. I think it has more to go. 26 and 33 are targets. IONQ, another monster move last week. After pulling back to support and holding at 14.15, it ramped to 25.68 in 4 days. So a tad overbought, you say? Yeah. Momentum, indeed. Can it continue to blow off like it did here? Why not? But I'd be awfully careful. If I see a spike up on Monday, Tuesday, that gets this into the high 20s, low 30s, I would be a seller if I were you. IoT, Samsara, otherwise known as Internet of Things, is in a beautiful rising angle of ascent here as your channel. My target is 60. My support, you don't want this below 45. Jets. I'm picking out jets because the whole airline group, if you look at Delta and United in particular, those two, what a move. They're so overbought, it's crazy. This has gone 37 to 87 in 90 days, UAL. 37 to 87. Delta's gone from 37 to 62. Both of these at long-term resistance as well. So I'm going to say I'm not keen on it, but I did want to show you that jets may be the way to go. And take a look at where it's at. It's at resistance. On the other hand, it did break through a base pattern that's been developing for 2 years. So an airline group are strong with the price of oil coming down, that's for sure, but extended as well. Natural gas can't get out of its own way, folks. The KOLD, oil and gas both coming down now. Gas has been coming down, but oil joined the party. Look at the long-term channel. For me, it's a 1, 2, and this is 3, 4, and the fifth wave could take us. Are you ready? 180 or better. That's 100 points from here. Now, I'm not saying it's going 100 points, but I am saying you have a triple top in this area that if it breaks through, it's also a base pattern. And it might even be the following. Check this out. I'm going to take some lines out to make it clear for you. What I see is a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. This is the neckline. Measure the move. 34 roughly to 85 roughly. 51 points. You add 51 onto the neckline, 136. I'm going to give you a target at 136. So folks, this should be very interesting. As a matter of fact, what might be really interesting on cold would be an option play. The stock's at what, 82? Let's look at the 85s. The November 85s are just $3. Not a lot of option activity on this. Quite interesting. Anyway, probably because it's an ETF. Nevertheless, I'm looking for, if it breaks through here, at least 100, 105, and then maybe 125, 35. Keep an eye on cold. It could be very interesting. And Boyle is in the toilet. Now, and this Boyle and Ung, I think they should change this symbol to UG. Okay, so moving on. Past LAC. Well, look, I think that lithium stocks are looking much better. I put out PLL and LAC, but both of them had bad days on Friday, and I'm wondering why. But we have a rounding bottom. LAC did very well from where we gave it to you. It ran up from like 3.5 to 5. It's at resistance, so it backed off. It needs to hold it right about there. Let's say 365. It targets at 5.25.5, and then 6.5 plus. Lycee. Well, I don't know what to tell you about this. I gave you a short-term trade on it. It went boom, 3 to 6. It doubled. Obviously, that's the place to take profits because I had a target of 5.75. It plunged, and I don't know why, from the, I think it was actually 6 and change pre-market. But the high was 550 during regulation. When it broke here, I told my traders that this has to be stopped under 480. Well, the damn thing went to 3. So that's why stops are a must on stocks like this. What's it going to do now? I don't know, but I think the trade is done on this one. That's my gut feel. That it's going to take some time to rectify this damage. Let's see what it does in the next couple of days. LITE, this is an old swing of mine. Beautiful base breakout. It's gone from 60 to 93 in the last, well, take a look at this. November the 1st, 9 days ago, it was 62. Friday morning, 93. It did back off 9 points. Why? Well, not only was it short-term overbought, but it reached the channel top right there. Also, it reached that resistance level or near it. This high back there was a little higher at 94.50. So pretty much, an overbought short-term condition, but a beautiful long-term pattern, a beautiful base, made either rounding bottom, inverse head and shoulder, whatever you want to call it. But bottom line is it broke out. Now, if it sets up some sort of consolidation, pullback, flag, falling wedge, whatever, maybe it can go be 105.6, my next target. Louisiana Pacific, great chart. Quality building products company, building materials. In November of last year, it was under 50. On Friday, it was 112. So it's more than doubled. It's beautiful stair step moves up. Your next target is 133.35. LSF, one of my favorite junior stocks. Look at this beautiful base. This is textbook. Breakout. Falling wedge. The way to look at this is this way. Beautiful falling wedge. Pop, breakout. Buy it. 2.5. Pop, falling wedge. Buy it. Breakout. Another wedge there. Buy it. Popped and then pulled back and went into a longer consolidation, but it did break out of that from a flag, from another one. Look at the way this stock looks. This is outstanding for a junior little packaged food companies. For me now, I'm looking for 14, 15 on this stock as an extension move and a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth way blow off. This looks good. Lightbridge. I think from what I've been hearing that this is also part of those power generating stocks, but it doesn't say that. It says electronic components. I haven't looked into what they do, and I really don't care, quite frankly. Long-term downtrend, broken with an explosive surge. A beautiful little 3-day pullback, exploded again. Look at this pop. 584 to 1420 in 3 days. A little overbought short-term, pulls back hard. Holds near the trend line that I've drawn and bounces. If it gets over 11, then I'd look for 14 and 17 or more. It looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth wave's underway. We'll see. Lumen, one of my favorite current patterns. Anytime I see a junior stock go from under $1 vertically to just under 8, that's an 8-fold increase in a month. Yeah, it's time for some consolidation. It did it. Here's a little wedge, or coil, I should say. Breakout, couldn't get through and extended the coil. And then had an ascending coil with a triple top. That triple top came in around 783, a double top exactly. Look what happened Wednesday when it broke out. It went right to nearly $10. But based on this move, this can be just the beginning of a move that takes us dramatically into the mid-teens or better. LUMN may be powerful next week. If you get volume and it gets over 10, go for it, because momentum could carry that one hard and fast. Lunar, very similar in a way. Look at that move in June, 209 vertically when they had that landing to 13. Now this is a six-fold increase, folks, and it did it in 6-7 weeks. So almost 100% a week for 6 weeks. Then a long downtrend. There's your breakout wedge, another breakout coil. Look at the breakout Thursday. Friday's an inside day. Watch this one. 11, 13, 15, 16. I mean, I don't know where they take this. But it could be a high teen stock. M&MD, inverse head and shoulder breakout. Beautiful pattern. Volume increasing every day, particularly Tuesday through Friday when it went from under $6 to $8. They're not 8, 9. So more than 50%. They got up near a resistance level. There's a resistance zone there. And should it get through that, we might see a stock in the $12 range. MP, run up, rising wedge. This is a tech trader swing. And if it gets through here, Katie barred the door. The stock could run into the 20s, low and mid 20s. MSTX, the ETF for MSTR, is in a phenomenal rising channel. It's gone from 15 to 60, fourfold. And based on momentum, we could see 80, 85. Muller Water, beautiful rising channel, is accelerating too, like a lot of stocks are. This is worrisome to me, but it could be blow-off stage. This could be, 3 to 5 points more. NCLH, along with CCL and RCL, that whole group is running. Look at the big base on this one in the breakout. Now, there's a little bit of resistance up here near 30. That would be my short-term target, and then 33. In the nuclear generating field, NNE, double bottomed and popped, and we put a swing on it. It's moved nicely. 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, it's got up into 28 and pulled back down to 16.5, but it went right back to 22.3. I think this is not done yet. 29 and 35, 40 are targets. NRIX, great rising channel. This one's moved from 4.25 to 28 in the last year, and obviously doesn't look done. As a matter of fact, it's first breaking out. It might see 35. Netgear breaks out of a base, breakaway gap, pulls back, tests, forms a wedge, and breaks out. Looking for 26.5, and then we'll see where that goes. It could blow off into the high 20s or better. Nutanix, as you know, one of my long-term favorites. I picked it back here when it was 29. It went to 70 something. Got hammered when the tech stocks did. What a reversal. 43 to 70 in the last 90 days. If they can get this up above 73.5, it could go wildfire to at the high 70s, low 80s. I still think it's a takeover. And Natera is a tech trader swing. It's worked out well since I think I gave it to you in May, but I have to look at when it was. But bottom line is, beautiful long-term trend. That's pointing me to 185. I don't know if it does that, but it looks like Friday's big day reversed it. And this one could be stellar in the next few weeks. And Exel, triple top up here, but boy, what a move. We've had it since we gave you a swing on it. I think it's gone from 2.25 to 3.75, but I have to look at the numbers. It's at resistance right here. Take a look at this. If this blows through here, this is a $6 to $7 stock, folks. OKLO, another of the nuclear power generators. Excuse me. After a beautiful run, pulled back and tested and held, creating a nice new trend channel. Got up to the channel top and pulled back Friday, but I think it extends. 33 and 40 are short-term targets. Oracle, I'm of the opinion this is maybe starting a long-term move that takes it to 200, 20, 30, 40. PAYL, Tech Trader Swing, broke out here, flagged. Beautiful rising pattern from under 7 to nearly 11. Moving up near the all-time highs in the 11 and 12 range. Let's see what it does if it gets through here. It's right up against resistance. PBI, Pitney Bowes, breaks out of a base, forms a three-wave corrective flag, pops, coils, and breaks out. It did hit the top of the channel and backed off on Friday, so careful. But I still think this is a $10, $12, $14 stock down the road. PCT, V-bottom, right-handed extended platform, spike up wedge, and a spike up pullback. Thursday was not a good reversal day, so it needs to hold ideally under, I say, 1085.11. My targets are 15 and 19. PLL I'm concerned about because it looked great after we gave it to you and pulled back orderly and then started to run again, but it rolled over. For some reason, the lithium stocks suddenly acting poor. Careful. Palantir, blow off. Folks, we've been on Palantir since it broke out of the inverse head and shoulders base here a year and a half ago at 9. It's gone from 9 to 59. Pretty amazing. Is this too in the blow-off mode? It certainly looks like it. POET, love this little junior stock like Laird Superfoods that has quite one of these pop wedge, pop coil, pop falling wedge, etc. And it broke out Thursday. Let's see if it extends. My targets are 5 3/4, 7 3/4. PSFE, beautiful rising channel, continuing. It broke out Friday. It's at resistance here. It gets through it. My target is 28. PTCT, biotech breaks out of a triple top and starting to run here. Angle of Ascent says this could be 10 points higher. Peloton exploded and formed a beautiful little flag base type pattern, broke out. I think that's when they hired a new CEO. No, maybe it was back here, but the stock ran. New credible CEO appointed. Wall Street loves it. The stock was running. My targets are 10 and 12. Rail. We had a heads up from Kathy on this months ago when it was trading at 5 or 6. It's now 15. I don't think it's done yet. The weekly chart shows some big resistance up around 19.5. I'll use that as a target. See, if it gets up there on a blow-up stage, it will have gone from 3 to 19. So 6-fold increase, you want to think about selling some. RCAT comes out of a base here, pops wedges and pops, forms a platform, runs out, but couldn't get through and then backed off. Nevertheless, it's holding its channel bottom. Projection at the channel top, 5 and 6. Reddit. I'm only showing you this because of the blow-off and the run-up it's had, and some people in our room think it's a home run. Quite frankly, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. My targets are 150 and 75. RDW, that's red wire, came out of a base, pulled back and coiled and broke out, pulled back and broke out of the ascending bull coil, and then retested it and popped. It just looks to me like this stock wants to go higher. My targets are 11 and 13. REFR, it's a favorite of one of my institutions. They think that after this consolidation is done, the stock goes to 3, 4, and 5. It could very well do that based on a long-term pattern. There's a triple top up here at 550. That's my ultimate goal. Rocket Lab, look at that base and look at that breakout. Here's where it became prominent. See the volume? Breakout, falling wedge on low volume, and then pop flag. No brainer there. I should have done something with it. I did not. It went from 7 to 14 and doubled. It doesn't look done yet. Long-term target, or should I say long-term resistance? There is some right near here. But this spike up could be a target at some point. Excuse me, at 2021. RMTI, So the junior drug company, biotech, breaks out, flags, pops, falling wedge, run up. Look where this goes, 6.5. RYAM in the chemical field broke out of a base right there. It's been stair-stepping its way up to resistance, and it's up in a really key resistance zone here. Should it get through, we're looking at 15. SEI breaks out of a long-term multi-year base with a spike last week. Not sure where it goes, but let's call 20 your near-term target. Sweet greens. I'm concerned because it was looking great. I put a swing on it. Here when it broke out, it pulled back. It broke out again, it pulled back, and then it popped. It went really well last week until Friday when it got slam dunked. At this point, I'm going to take Friday's low and say stop under 34. It did bounce to 39.5, so let's see where it goes next week. Hopefully that's the bottom. Sangamo, this little low price puppy is a drop from the high teens to literally a double bottom at 35 cents, 30 cents. Pop coil and pop and run. Ever since early October, when it was trading at 75 cents, it has gone fourfold. It's now above that at 318. There's some resistance in here, but I'm thinking it extends to $4 before it's done. SMMT, pop coil, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave surge, 5th wave peak, and now another coil. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th wave could be a monster. Once it gets above 25, 30, 40, 50, all doable potentially, or a takeover, something like that. SMR, another power generator, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in the throes of maybe a blow off in this group. Let's see if we can get to 29 to 33. SOC, long base, breakout, consolidate, breakaway gap, wedge, pop, and then pull back down a falling wedge, break out of it. If it gets to 28, we could look at 35 and 40. SOFI, long base, the breakout occurred here. It's running. It blew through the channel top on Friday. It may be in blow-off mode. Look for 14. SOUN breaking out of a coiling base pattern that's developed for almost a year. Thursday, Friday were good days for it. Targeting 8 and 10. 8 and 9.5. SPRY, this pharmaceutical stock has gone from 260 to 18. No, 17, sorry. Stuck its head out and had the highest close since back in 21. I'm not going to be surprised if this extends to 27, my next target. SRTS, big reversal a year ago, and since then it's gone from under 2 to over 7, but in the last few months, sitting here consolidating in a coil. Watch this one carefully, over 7, 7, 10. I'm looking for 9 and 10. Talk, reversed, we put a swing on it. It's acting great. It's got a nice ascending bull wedge in here. Let it get up to 335, and we should see 4 and 5. TGTX, beautiful rising channel since the breakaway move in early May and the breakout in July. A bit choppy, but higher, 33 target. TKNO reversed off the July low when it was trading at $1.15, went vertical to 4, consolidated, popped out and flagged. Boy, does this look good. I don't know what's behind it. It is a junior drug company. Again, I got a target of 10.11. Woo! Toast. It's certainly not toast as it breaks out of a major base. Exploded on Friday with a breakaway gap, but it did get to the channel top and it is overbought short term. Let's see if it consolidates and goes higher. If so, 41.2 is the target. Track. Repositrack doing well. Great chart. Fundamentally, every time I read a report on them, they're like adding all kinds of new customers. So here's a stock that's gone from 4 to 21. It looks to me like it's going to be 27. TSLA, that's a Tesla ETF that had a vertical move and may be subject to pullbacks. But I got to tell you, Tesla looks like it wants to go higher. The channel top suggests 23.4 as a target. TTI breaking out, or is it? Well, we'll find out. I put a swing on it. It pulled back Friday, has a kind of a engulfing day Friday, but not a breakout day. What I need is a move over 4 to get it going. Then your targets are 4.5, 5, and 5.5. TVTX, another junior biotech that is gone from 5.5 to nearly 20. It tagged 20 on Friday, actually. My target's 23.5. Unity Software, inverse head and shoulders, broke out. We put a swing on it. I went to target number 1 right there. It's consolidated for 6 weeks. It looked like it was breaking out Friday, but nasty reversal day. So must stop under 19. 1945 actually is support. UIS, V bottom, platform broke out. We put a swing on it, then pulled down hard and gap back up. Resuming the trend, target 9.5 and 11. Unify, beautiful rising channel, coming out of a coil. Should he get above 23.5, 27 and 30 are targets. Vimeo exploded out of a base, a long-term base, with a breakaway gap, now flagging for 3 days. I'm not sure if it pulls back a little further and then goes, but the target is 7.75 and 9. VRNA, beautiful rising channel, stair step your move. Pop flag, pop flag, pop flag, keep going. Flagging again. Mid 40s, low 50s targets. VSI, another power generator, maybe the leader in that group. Big move in September that took it from 72 to 143, a double in a month, and then a 1 month consolidation. Well, guess what? It broke out. The close on Friday, 123.50, up 777 or 6%, was the highest close by far ever. And if this is any indication where this stock can go, check this out. Now, I don't know if this is the case. When I draw lines and create parallel channels, it gives me a target 175.80. WGS Tech Trader swing from here, I believe in May, but I don't remember exactly when, but the stock has gone from that point around 11-12 to 89, flagging and now going again. I believe 102, 105 type, let's call it a $100 target. Warby Parker, big base, folks. Take a look. Multi-year. It's breaking out. I can see a long-term move that doubles the stock into the 36.7 range. I'm talking about a test of this zone. Now, obviously, in between, there's a lot of room. Let's get it up through 23 first, my next target. Actually, 22.5. Wolf. It's a crypto-related stock. Pop coil, and pop. Target, 10.5, 11. Wave. Look at this base. Breakout, wedge, breakout, coil, pop. Fifth wave starting, 19, 22, 25 targets. XPEV, the Chinese electric vehicle EV manufacturer. Breakaway move, wedge, and pop and breakout. This is the highest level on this one in 11 months. I'm not going to be shocked to see 16, 18, 20 on this one. Zeta, one of our favorites. Also another pick from my same institution I gave you, Root. Boy, these guys are good. Breakaway gap, coil. I actually gave Zeta to you in April, I believe. I'm have to double check the numbers, around 12. It's gone to 36. It's tripled. The target is 40. And that's it on the long side. I have some shorts to cover, and we'll finish up for today. Looking at AMAT, I'm not sure it's a distinct short, but I will say after a long uptrend, it's formed kind of a head and shoulder top. Easy stop over the triple top over 215. But a downside projection tells me this very well could be 150, maybe even 130. Boot, breaking its long-term trend, snapping back to it. There is a distinct level of resistance right here. If it can't get back above 142, and it dropped from that point to 135 on Friday, then it could collapse back to 125 and 110. Those are your targets. CAMT, again, I'm not so sure about it because it's had a pretty good drop. But it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we do get a fifth wave, look out below $50, 50, 55. Before you get there, you obviously got to take out 72. And the stop on this one is above 89. Crocs. Well, after a beautiful long-term uptrend, but a little bit choppy here. The stock broke down from a topping type pattern and hasn't looked back. My next target is 94, followed by 84. Horton, the builder, broke down from a head and shoulder top, snapped back, almost filled that gap, and now it's coming down again. Only if it gets back above 176 would I cover. My downside targets are 152 and 135. HCA on the trend line, but after a big wave, this breakdown and that bear flag, and then an engulfing bar on Friday is not good. If it slips under 335, you might see 315 and even 3. Logitech broke its long-term uptrend here with a breakaway down move and a bear wedge. Then it dropped down again. It doesn't look good to me. My targets are 75 and 68. MSA, well, it had a nice pop last week with the market, but it did break its pattern, although it did bounce back to the declining top line. Something to watch. If it breaks, 148 target. NDX-X broke the trend line with a breakaway gap, made lower lows, and finally bounced back to resistance and failed. Problem is, if it gets above 133.4, it's a cover. I would wait on this one. If it drops under 120, then I would look for 110 and 100. NVO, massive left shoulder, head, right shoulder breakdown, a little bear flag, and breakdown. Not sure why it's looking as bad as it is, but it looks like it's going lower, targeting 97 and 88. Qualcomm. Look, by all rights, this stock should be moving with the tech stocks. It really isn't. It broke. There's a head and shoulder pattern, no question. It broke down, snapped back, and failed, and they got crushed. Since the big drop, we saw an island reversal. Take a look at it right there at 230, and dropping down to 150, 180 points. You know, you're going to go into a consolidation period, which is exactly what this is. The question is it going to break out and run, or is it going to roll over? Well, I would wait on this one because under 162, it could fall apart. 148 and 137 targets. STNG, Scorpio Tankers, the shipping stocks don't look good. This broke down, ran right to resistance at the neckline, and then fell apart, dropping from 74 to 54. Obviously, if it bounces, it might be a short into the 40s. Tidewater and oil stock, head and shoulder top, breakdown, bear wedge, another bear flag, and then all the way down there. So short-term extended to the downside. I wouldn't be shorting it here. I'd probably be covering it. It's dropped from 112 and a half to 56. Another shipper, TK Tankers, head and shoulder top and breakdown. Where's it going? 37 is my next target. UHS, breakdown, bear wedge. If it gets below 192, target's 174. Urban, big uptrend, broken with a gap, bear flag. And then it came down and bounced and formed this formation. Cover over 39, short under 34, target 29.30. VRRM, head and shoulder top, breakdown. Targets 20 and 18. Weatherford, broke down bear wedge. We put a swing on it short. It went from 111 to 76 and bounced. If it fails here, it ain't done yet. But multiple waves down usually get me to cover and did get to the target at 75.6. XYL broke down last week and it's trying to bounce. If it doesn't get through and rolls over, 115 and 108 are your targets. And finally, Yelp has been in a long-term downtrend for a year, taking it from 49 to 32. It may have broken out last week, but it pulled back hard, so we'll continue to watch that one. But after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, I can see why it might want to break back out. Folks, that's an exhaustive look at the technicals, the indices, the indicators, the NASDAQ 100 components. I didn't go over the major ETFs. Let me just do that really quickly at the end here. The SMH is one of the things I follow closely, semiconductors. And even though the market broke out, this did not. Notice 263 and is a distinct resistance level. It needs to get through that. The FAS financials, well, they're not having a good time right now. Although they did break out. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. I was thinking of FAZ. FAS broke out and it's consolidating for 3 days. This looks very good here, and I think it has more to go. But we'll keep an eye on the financials because right now they'll seem to be leading. And lastly, the LABU, is right up against key resistance, and if this breaks out, the whole market goes with it. My target on this one's going to be 175. And that's going to be it for this weekend, folks. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you Monday. That's tomorrow. Bye now, everybody.